And I want to introduce our next speaker. His name is Harsh, and he is CTO in a startup called Pedals Up. He lives in Hyderabad, and the topic that he will be presenting will be dedicated to micro interactions and animations in React Native. And without further ado, I'm pleased to pass the microphone to Harsh. And yeah, please,
Hey Ron,
your turn.
thank you for introduction. Yeah. So I hope you all are doing great, and thank you for this great opportunity. Mm, so this is my second talk in weekly. Before that, I also talk about microinteraction in webs, and this time I'm gonna talk about interactions and animation in React Native. So let me share my screen. Yeah, I have this videos. So today we're gonna talk about what is microinteraction and what is animation in React Native specifically. So this is a little bit about me. So I'm a CTO at a startup called Battlesub. We are like 2.5-year-old startup. We mostly work in help tech companies to build their product end-to-end solutions. Also, we work on our own product, basically SaaS-based product we are currently building. And then I'm a GSocker. GSock is basically a Google Summer of Code. So I also work with the MIT Media Lab India initiative. I built two projects there, and I also work with the PyCon organization. Uh, I also had my internship at PyCon APAC Taiwan, and I also work with organization like Wikipedia, KD, and Elementor. And I'm a community freak, so I handle two community at my uh, local, one called GDG Cloud Ahmedabad and Padit Ahmedabad. So I basically host meetups, organize talks, and I do a lot of community work to help developers, designers, all cloud enthusiasts to come around and share some knowledge and gain some knowledge. So yeah, so this is one of the greatest quote I come up. Uh, yesterday, I reading something and this is the quote I show. So I put it here. So never prioritize your beauty over your functionality. So just define if you're only focusing on your UI, sometimes you missed out your functionality, and this will not help your app or your web, whatever you are building. So always prioritize your functionality first and then focus on beauty. So yeah, so what is micro interaction? Some of you know, some of you don't know. So let me conclude. Micro interactions takes application from ordinary to extraordinary, or what you call exceptional level. Um, Basically, what you are looking at your right side is all that are going on is basically a small micro interactions and animations which are performing into your app. The one of the best example, if you want to consider as a micro interaction, you can open your Facebook chat or any chat and just press that thumb button, and it basically pop out a bigger way. And this is the one of the best example anybody can give to like how micro interaction work and how you perform the action while using it. So basically, micro interactions are events, which is the one main task and a single purpose. They are found of all around your devices or app, like web, app, tablets, apps. Their main purpose to delight the user to create a moment to engaging, welcoming, and like it's feel like a it's like human created thing. So the communication status, like when you praise something or when you like like write something, and when this thing provide you feedback and accessing the sense of direct manipulation, it's help to get their people reaction from the app or the particular animation is basically create a proper micro interactions. So micro interaction basically a natural app behavior and how you can achieve it with it. So one of the start is like systems. There are six part which I'm currently just covering. There are a lot of other things also, but these are the main six things which can like part of a micro interaction and which help you to like create a micro interactions. So one of the first one is like system status. So system status is basically when you are saying here like if I click to some button, it basically creates some cool animation and it's help to user know that you are submitting some form or uploading something to image to the particular app, and it give you status like you submitted. Okay. The system status which help user to like engage and understand what is going on. Okay. Second is like visualizing the input. Basically, this is more important when you are creating a forms, because forms are mostly a boring thing to fill up with, and like most of the people feel that forms are boring and lengthy. So one of the greatest microinteraction you can create is like for forms, create like engaging input forms. Manipulation is basically mm, the the small idea which you manipulate like this uh, like dark to light theme button. And then the feedback. So what is feedback is when you're getting from the user when it's like change something to dark to light theme or basically upload something, and based on feedback you get a judgment, and based on that micro interaction perform their actions and lastly achieving. So after all of the five micro interaction stages, we need to achieve from the user what our animation gonna work. So yeah, this six basically like system status, visualizing inputs, manipulation, feedback, and acknowledgement and achieving. They're the whole six steps which help you to create a better micro interaction in app. So what is micro interaction? Why is important in the UX? So each and every time when you try to create micro interaction, if every individual interactions are the self, the UX in the UX, then the micro interaction are the item of the cell. So basically, understand that when you are creating any of your micro interactions, and like when you're creating your UI, you put small elements which like create wow moments or what which give the like you create a small animation which you are looking currently here. Like when you create like login screen and at the like password and user try to put in your password, you can tell him that this is the low strength, this is the high strength, the maximum strength of your password, and which help you to not hack it. So when user write it like basically 1 2 3 is basically hackable, then it's like mix of alphabets and the numbers, which is the medium password, which is hackable, but it takes some time. When you like mix up with all numbers, and like alphabetic and also the special characters, itself you do. It's not gonna help. It's take a longer time. So this kind of small micro interaction help user to understand what's going on, and that's why. Uh, my suggestion is that I try to include in your UX some micro interactions. Okay, so this is some research which like which I done for this to understand why UX and why micro interaction is particularly important to your app. So when you see it, like when a company invests in like UX and micro interaction, is basically equally proportional to like they also gain more customers plus they got more revenue growth. So simply they got more customer growth when they implemented the whole UX and micro interaction part, and they also gained a lot of revenues here. So this is one of the research which I found, like by the company called Lucidity. So Michael wrote whole article on that, and the company changing the structure and when they implement their new UX and they apply new UX strategies and they also introduce micro interaction in that. So what happened is they managed like 66% of revenue increasing after without any cost. Like they have same number of employees, but they just change the strategy. They just improve the UI. They implement a lot of micro interactions, and what happened is like the revenue growth go much higher than what they expected from the year from same employees. And this is like one of the best industrial example which can like give you the good vibes that improving your UI UX and including micro interaction and animation help you to like gain your revenue plus the customer what you are looking for. So why micro interaction rocks? So some of you are thinking why like I put a lot of animation and so and the app gonna rock. No, so one of the messages here, please do a minimalistic approach to the micro interaction. Don't create a lot of animation in app because sometimes what user annoy by like too many animation in the app. So try to only put few, but the much needed one or much interactable for the user, which help user to like understand your app and like create emotional attachment to your app basically while using your micro interaction. So why micro interaction rocks basically because they improve your app navigation. The app navigation is like pretty amazing with like you implement any of animation or any micro interaction. Uh, they can make it easier to user to interact with your application, which I told that create a very good connection with your application, and they provide like instant and relevant feedback to your complete action to the user when like seeing a simply you just come with notifications coming here, and it's basically when you slide left it's basically give you like you want to read it or delete it or what archive it. It's basically creates some complete actions, and when you get a feedback from your user, then the make user experience more rewarding. It's basically give you the more like praise into your eyes or just feel like I'm doing something great with this app or good with this app and this app is rewarding me as a user. Also is encouraged to the user to like share your links, commenting down to your content. Also it's basically give you the whole bunch of boosts to your user to share more your content and more your app. And finally they just make your app more emotional, and this makes basically gain your customer like emotion plus the customer retention rate more better, and customer come again and again to your app and they you wanna use your app with this small micro interaction when you include, and it's basically help to boost your customer and your revenue model. So yeah. So the main question is when to use them. So when to use micro interactions and why to use them. So micro interactions are like touch as a powerhouse. So when it's come to communicating with the user, basically you can use like many ways. So these are some of the ways I like concluded for this. So you can use for like swipe ups. You can create crazy swipe ups with the micro interactions. You can create like data inputs like forms, basically create crazy forms or like cool forms. Uh, you can create animations like this one upload animation. When you click on upload, is basically get some upload 0 to 100, and that's you like feeling good. I'm uploading something. Like also make your tutorial interesting. Also, you can like check your current status animation, micro interactions. You can use for call for action. You can create animation buttons and many more things. You can create a lot of other things with this. Um, like you can create micro interaction with a lot of other things. Mm, So these are the three examples which I can include. So one of the left hand side, actually left hand side, the is basically app like similar to like Gmail, is the Outlook app for Microsoft, and the basically is like left and right swipe. This creates some action and also a small micro interaction. When you uh, like right at swipe at left hand side is basically delete the mail or archive the mail, and when you like swipe right is basically in the archive state. So also same as for like the middle one as a Apple unlock screen, and when you like put your wrong password is basically give it a red dot small tickle animation or like bouncy animation. And when you like password is right, is basically converted to green and just give you the bounce good feel of animation like this password is your password is right. Also the third one is a great example of like on-screen pop-ups, and like directly you can use app shortcuts. Basically simply paste to your app and it basically pop out. And this had a lot of user to like you don't go to the app and particularly you want to use something, this basically help to like with their just pressing the app and it's create a beautiful pop-up come out, and you can use your shortcut from directly from app without like going into. So these are the small micro interaction which can help user to like engage with this app and encourage them to use more and more. And based on that you get a lot of feedback, and based on feedback you can create the strategies, and based on the strategy you can like engage more user, and based on engaging more user you can grow your revenue. So the whole thing all chainable, and it's all are connected with the like UX to micro interaction to getting more customers to getting feedback and grow the revenue based on that. So this is a cool way to like get your customers on board, and I hope micro interaction help that. So designing micro interactions is a much cooler thing. So I'm not going into deep how micro interaction cycles work or how micro interaction you can create, but I just quickly like conclude like we can break it to like in the four parts. So basically when trigger is the initial stage when microinteractions or any interaction trigger that initial system or initial stage. Uh, the user initiate the trigger, the user initiate one action. Then the second part is rule, basically rule which you determine what happens once micro interaction like trigger. Simply understand this one example, like when you press 1 2 3 % something and it's basically create some red dot tickling animation or like shaking animation, which you already define the rule. Then when the password goes wrong, it's basically converted to red dots and it's basically shake or tickle. Uh, then the third part is like feedback. When you're creating any animation, when you get a feedback, based on feedback you like help to trigger your micro interaction. And the fourth one is like creating the loops. So creating the loops is basically meta rule of micro interaction. What happen on micro interaction is basically when the condition change and you create the whole loop. That's like trigger rules and feedback, and creating the loop uh, is basically creating any micro interaction. So let's learn how to design a micro interactions is basically, so understand that making micro in existing design, like if you are like existing design system and you want to like include your micro interactions in it, uh, so it's basically important that let's put ourselves in the like user shoes and try to understand all of the needs from like user perspective and user side, and use all the figure out how you can use your app. Also, you can create a functional animations, like animation which have the only one aesthetics and which are able to enhance the user experience. And you can have like fun and near users with like creating cool animation and cool micro interactions. It's also find like user to like present their eyes, and you also want to, because of that you also want to return to your application and like engage to your application. Don't be annoying when you are using like or creating any like micro interaction when you're at the development stage, and also use like human language, non-technical, and like think about like how a noob or how a non-tech guy gonna use your app, and based on that try to create your any animation or any micro interaction which you are implementing in your app UI. So yeah. So what I mean is sometimes like too many disappointment are usually sign of like too many unmet expectations. So try to be like simple and human languages. So it's help user to like engage your app, and it's like feel fun for them and feel like pleasant for them to use your micro interactions and your app. So yeah, the next part is like UI animations. So we like talk about what is micro interactions and all the things. And what is UI animations? So if you UI animation is basically a divided in three. Um, we can consider the three things. Is the keep the contacts, interactable, and visibility. So keep the contacts means is basically when you're using app and like simple understand when you're if you're building like food delivery app and your contacts is clear what you are like basically you have to want to put your like whole your food picture with your food name and when you're going to deliver. So there are a small scrolling animation or what we call the scroll animation when you click on particular thing is basically like slide down to right hand side, and it's basically create a good small right hand side slider animation and it's will great to user. Keep the your contacts when you or where you want to like place your whole contacts or content, and This creating small this kind of animation help user to understand what is going on here. Interactable, yeah. So interactable is basically mostly how your app is interacting with the user. Okay, with your particular animation, like you're seeing here, like this is a simple booking application example. You can book your rooms from this simple application, and when you select the dates, it basically creates small animations. Also, when you click on confirm, it's basically slide down one tool which with it, and essentially you can see like previous swipe up with the app, and it's create cool animation with it. So this is how you interact with your app, and this is the small micro interaction and animation help your user to like come to your app again. Again, it's find the interesting, and this interesting thing when you find a user, they're also gonna share with the other users, and you can return uh, get more users to your applications, and yeah, and the visibility. So visibility is very important when you like creating any animation. Is feel pleasant. Is feel like you're not doing too much with your animation. It's like simple and like minimalistic whole animation. Basically, it's not creating too much hassle to the user. Like this is the like what is happening today. This is app. I'm just using it. Try if your new user came into your app and is like too much animation going on. I don't want this. Let's try to like visible pleasant animation. This is the stock market app, and when submit some feedback, something, it's basically create giving him like uh, basically giving that positive vibes to your app and creating this small animation like the green and it's going for firecrackers of animation. So let's move to React Native. And so we already conclude what is micro interaction, what is an UI animation, and we are moving on to the React Native animation library. I hope you all know what is React Native. React Native is basically a cross-platform app library or what kind of framework. Basically, provide you the cross-native app development features, so you can create Android and iOS both app using a single language, single writing script writing. So yeah. So React Native has a lot of animation libraries. These are the five best one which I like to use every time when I or my team build any app animation on which the client want or which we want to include in UI UX. So let's move into it. So React Native has their own built-in animation library, animation API. Basically, they have a lot of functionality in basically to animate any particular elements, any particular image. So it's basically easy to get started with the, the animation API. They also support stagger, teaming, spring, delay, parallel, physics-based animations. Also support interpolation. Uh, and like if you want to achieve a 60 FPS animation or this built-in animation API is such a task, but you need like expertise to like achieve 60 FPS and like built-in API. So you need to be like more experienced and more need some more advanced knowledge to get that. It's basically layout based animation. You also get like start and stop method to control time-based animation execution. So in like technical side, React Native offers a lot of powerful declarative APIs to make animation, usually called this animation API. And sometimes like uh, you don't want to use this and you want to handle by the third party libraries. So there are a lot of third party libraries which can you can use. We want to Gonna also cover the third-party libraries. This is the one of the built-in API which is already in React Native. You can go and check it out. Simple on simply Google it about React Native Animation API, and you can go ahead and check it out. The whole documentation. So yeah. So this is one of the finest third-party uh, native animation API for React Native. So basically, it's easy to use. A lot of built-in animations already in there. So if you don't know how to create, or you just want to pick from some of the already built-in, like specifically there are currently 76 or 80, maybe 70 or 80 animations already there. So like that Epic can use in your app. Also is like best of one of the best library which can help you to create any micro interactions. These are some of the small example like slide up and slide down animations. Also share you the whole go through the whole code thing. But yeah. So basically it's declarative wrapper that give you to animate your elements in React Native. Uh, this library has like easy API to use. You don't need to link anything to any one of the part. So let's move to the code and let's understand what's happening here. So this simple npm package you can install it with like npm or yarn, which one you prefer. And this one is simple like create a slide up and down animation. So what is happening in a code is like we are simply importing whole functionality like uh, which given by the React Native animator. And basically, what we are creating is like we are using the safe area. Okay, and in we are view section. We are basically using animated.view and animatable word of view. Basically, a functionality which given by the React Native animator. And we are simply just passing our star here. Also, we are just simply giving animation like slide up, slide it down, and like this is iteration count. You can increase the iteration count is basically 5, which is like up and down. This is 5, and we are giving the direction basically alternative. We can give you the specific direction if you want to give like left and right, up and down, or whichever you want to go. And you're just simply passing the text in this rectangle box, which when we are already created. We are changing, and we just close down the immutable tag. So whole animation is happening within just two. There's one single line. We just pass animation and what kind of animation we want and what kind of iteration on what how much time we want to like, animate this particular element, and we just given the direction to the like the element. So this is like single line. You can create this cool up and down animation with it. So yeah. So we are using like three props here. Basically, one is animation, is take like string and use specific type of animation. So we want like this slide in, slide down. We use that one. If you want like slide left, so we gonna use slide in left. If you want to like use right, we simply write down slide in right. And iteration count is basically numbers which should like run iteration in animation. We can use like infinite if we want to use like infinite loop. So we can simply pass infinite, and it will make animation run forever. The direction is the third pop, which we specify direction of animation like normal, alternative, reserve, or reserve. These are basically SCSS properties which can use to direct your we give direction to our uh, animation. We can use also other props like transition and a lot of other props as well as. So you can go and check out this like doc if you want to like explore more to like what is the table and how we can use how many props are available there. This is easy to use single line code and you can make also a lot of crazy and there's a built-in animation which can use directly. The one of the coolest library I come around. Let's move to the next one. So React Native annotated is like one of the most powerful React Native animation library, third-party library basically. But it's taken like long learning curve to learn, to implement and like use. Basically, if library use native drivers. What is native driver is basically a driver which React Native running on. We use the native driver support. There are a lot of translation API, and it's basically support layout-based animation. And there are also native supports with React Native and React Native reanimated, and it's give you like much control on animated by value providing several declarative APIs to clip, and no need to use like native driver anymore because React Native implemented perform on animation directly on UI threads. So this is one of the powerful library, but it's also take a lot of learning curve. And so what happens is when you like more uh, what React Native reanimated is provides a more comprehensive low level abstraction. So it's basically a new animated API and it's create React animation and it is like much control to micro interaction or animation which we are creating using this one. And yeah, so it's basically you can create a lot of animation with it. And this is like you can create a fade, scale, rotation, a lot of crazy animation using this API or this particular third-party library. So yeah, Lottie. This one is created by Airbnb. This is one of the most popular one library which people are using in current time. So Lottie is basically animation library, and it's like basically After Effect animation. Uh, and for that, you need to create a JSON file, like uh, third party. You need to like create alternative JSON file to create any animation in Lottie and you need to export that JSON to use into your app. Notice about like iOS, Android, Windows, web, and also automatic support. So basically, you can use Lottie each and every platform. And you it's basically a simple wrapper element that make a source of your JSON path. So basically, when you create a JSON file, basically you can wrap with Lottie. Basically, you need to just pass Lottie view and just into it. In source, you just need to part your JSON file, and the animation is done. Just you can pass other properties like loop, autoplay, a lot of other things into an application.
All right, pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
So the React Spring is one of the other libraries. It's basically a physics-based animation library and simple to use. You can use hooks. Is the coolest one for a web. Although you can use into app also. There's a React Native Motion. Uh, this basically create motion animations. Uh, this is a very simple library. You can use animation API also with this. Uh, the one thing is you need to specify the source and destination to like any elements you want to animate. and it also support hooks and simple API to like use any make any animation. So let's go click. I'm also running out of time, so let's go to click to this particular example. So if I want to create like shake animation, I just import the shake property from the React notification, and I just simply create a one function for this button to like shake how many times I want to, and I
Hmm.
simply use this shake property from the motion library, React motion library. I just simply passing this value to from this function. So I just simply create this the state dot value which I'm getting from this function, and I click on the button, and I just using like tab streaming, and I just simply create this small button, and I pass all the properties to this particular rectangle and purple color or blue color, and when I click on button, it's basically gonna shake, and how much time I like when I click on 5 times, it's gonna shake for 5 times. So you can simply create this shake animation, just passing one line. Uh, so it's easy to create any animation with like the native motion library. Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
pretty
it.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
pretty cool. Thank you, Harsh. Thank you for your time.
Thank you,
Thank you
buddy.
for joining us. And I wanted to remind everybody that we have a dedicated Q&A section um, in our Pine tool, where you can ask your questions to our fellow developers, to our speakers, and please don't waste any time. Head there. We will collect all the questions and we will get back to you with the Q&A session in 2 hours or so. And Harsh, if you still have time, if you don't mind, we will be super glad to have you during the Q&A session.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.